Welcome, everybody, to episode 11 of Dooner's Guide Through Mirkwood. Here we are, Memorial Day weekend. I have a very special guest, one of my favorite human beings in the world. He's hairy. He's a little big. He's got music that everybody loves in the entire world. I mean, from Singapore to LA into Australia, everywhere. This guy has what you need. So, Jim Gibson, welcome to my show.
Hi.
Hey, Jim.
Sorry for a little big build-up, but so me and Jim Gibson worked at a record store called Mad Platters in 1989, and I believe, Jim, you helped Joel move the record store from Yonkers up to Carmel.
Yeah, I helped organize it and set it up in Carmel from Yonkers.
And I was one of the first employees hired. Right, I know Chris, the folk rock guy, and there was another dude who was like new wave-ish, and there was me and you. And the original crew was, you weren't there that long. You only worked there for like a year or two, right?
This is a few years. I don't remember, honestly. Like when you said 1989, I was like, wow, was it really 1989? Oh,
that's when they moved up. That was my freshman year in high school. That's where I came from. I was a Catholic schoolboy, not a Catholic girl, like Frank talked about, but a Catholic
like you are now.
I'm a Catholic girl now, of course. But so I used to walk from my school down to Mad Platters from my high school and work every day after school. And for the first year, that was you. And you had Noiseville Records. And I was a little aspiring punk rocker coming out of Catholic school with all the angst. I listened to Slayer, Metallica. And I was taught about God and Jesus while they take your money. And I was like, it didn't make sense. So I met you and Joel and Malcolm and Trash, which I talked about last week. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to listen to them. I was like, these people know what I need to do. And Jim, some of the first memories of you were, when we walked in, there was a case to the left, and it was 1989, right? So CDs only became big in 85, right? The first two CDs I ever bought was Rush's Moving Pictures and Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe's album.
Oh, my God.
Oh, good. Right, so it's like 84, 85. So 89, I meet you, and you had like Led Zeppelin and Beatles bootleg, government people, bootleg CDs of concerts and outtakes, and you talked about them like you were Bob Barker. You're like, yeah, this is Zeppelin in Osaka, fucking 72. This is the Beatles. It wasn't released. It was a and to me, you were speaking like it was God. It was like, oh, like this guy's bringing to me this music that these amazing people did. Led Zeppelin and the Beatles that nobody knows about. And the young punk rocker Mike just latched onto that. And that, on my show the other day, Mike Iacovone talked about how Malcolm like led him in his counterculture. And when that was happening, around the same time, Joel moved to Mad Platters to Carmel, and I was a part of that vortex with you. And you went from Led Zeppelin to Unholy Swill in this young boy's mind. And I was like, whoa. He went Jimmy Page to Osaka, where we all know what Jimmy meant in Osaka. That changed the whole direction of rock and roll, probably, if you know what I'm talking about. And then there's the Unholy Swill, these three guys in Yonkers that are making noise that people need to hear. And you used to draw people in, and you draw a lot of people in to Noiseville and what it was about. And Malcolm had TPOS as well, and he was vibrating from Danbury. And you were part of the breakdown scene and the New York hardcore scene with Grill Viscous and Nusk Front, the whole shit. And it was so important to me, and it changed the trajectory of my life. And I remember you were really there for the beginning of the Mad Platters experience for me. And then I think you went and worked at Rock and Rex with Tony, correct?
Yeah, with Tony, yeah. We went down to Yonkers, yeah.
Which I just posted my Shut Up Christine show from Rock and Rex. It's got me lit up like nothing I've ever seen before. It's me 27 years ago with a cigarette hanging in my mouth, like Frank, playing punk rock, like with all I had at that time in my life. And I was 17 or 18, and dude, it's got me fired up. And I want to announce that me and Big Jim Gibson are starting a podcast. No, Jim's starting a podcast. He's going to lead it. He's going to bring his knowledge in rock and roll out to the world, just like I've been doing with my little world. My world's here. Jim's world's here.
Well, they're all kind of connected, because
it's all connected, of course.
If there's no one who likes the music, there's no one paying attention to it, what the hell's the point in doing it? So
Jim Gibson, what are you all about? What's your podcast going to be about? What are you going to bring to the people that they don't have now?
Well, tell you the truth, like I have the store, Big Jim's Records, and one thing I've noticed from getting back into having a store again is that people, they like to hear the stories. They like to hear the
Yep.
details behind records and behind albums and behind why this band went kaput and why this band went somewhere and blah, blah, blah. And then, I mean, there's, from doing this my whole life, there's a billion freaking stories.
Yeah.
And just there's so many interesting people, especially in this area, that so I want to bring people on and talk to them and get their perspective. People, who are both, not both, but people who are record sellers. I want to bring some record collectors on. And I want to even bring some celebrity people to come on and tell some cool stories too from the past. And just
Who are you thinking? Who do you got in mind?
Well, I'm not gonna say anything with these guys. You can't say anything beforehand. But I can tell you,
Teasing us. You're teasing me.
like I'll have people like Mark Zakarin from It's Only Rock and Roll. He'll certainly be
Sweet.
on.
That'd be great. That'd be great conversation.
He's just such a character. He's a stand-up comedian now, and I mean, he just,
Makes sense.
Honestly, I'm going to say, so Mark, what's up? And then he's going to talk for an hour and a half, just gonna be,
But you only have a half-hour show. What are you going to do?
8,000 jokes and 2,000 stories, and it's going to change subject matter, numerous times, but it's going to be great. And, Scott Hull from Master Disc, he was Robert Ludwig's assistant mastering those legendary albums.
Wow, that's
Back
sweet.
in
That's
Black
sweet.
and Led Zeppelin 2 and, all those records. And I mean, he's a scientist. He knows the science of music. So he can really explain things in ludicrous terms that no one else will understand, but he will. And maybe a few people out there will understand. So, Scott, I already said I was doing this and I'd love to have him on. He says, oh, absolutely. Because he's around the corner from me in Peekskill. So
Can you get any of the breakdown guys on your show?
Oh, I'm sure.
I want the sick people. I want to hear from the sick people.
I'm quite certain that won't be a problem at all.
What about Raw Deal? Any Raw Deal friends in your past?
Yeah. Well, that's
Raw Deal eventually became Killing Time, but I remember them as Raw Deal.
The same folks,
Anthony, I would love to. Jim, the one person in the scene from the past I would love more than anyone besides Ian MacKay and Joe Biafra is Mike Judge. I watched Mike Judge's documentary, and I've listened to Mike Judge all of my life from when I was 15 until I'm 45 now, and I've never been straight edge, never. But I mean, I love Minor Threat. I love Chain of Strength. I love straight edge music. I love Judge. Judge has been a huge part of my life all the time. I bring them up so frequently I can't even mention. And when I watched Mike Judge's documentary about what made him what he was, because everybody knows Mike is this power force of anger. If you watch this documentary, he's the sweetest human being you could imagine. He suffered more. Go ahead, Jim. What?
I was going to say that's the case with a lot of these guys in these tough guy bands. When you get to know them, they're just the sweetest, loving guys because they vent all their frustrations through the music.
That's it. And it's so funny. And even Purcelli, who, again, one of the stalwarts of straight edge, which I love so much. I feel bad loving him because I smoke pot. But I love him because he's fucking awesome. And they brought so much good, positive energy to the world, and it was for naught. People didn't pay attention. People should pay attention to these people. They're so poignant. They mark themselves in so many people's lives, just like you did, Jim Gibson, and just like Malcolm Tented, and just like my guest Mike Iacovone is doing today. And this is important stories for people to hear. That's why, Jim, you need a podcast. That's why, Kirk, you need a podcast. You need to bring people in and tell the important stories and bring this information and love and hope and creativity out to the world.
Sure.
You up for that?
I'm sure Kirk's got plenty to say too.
What's up, Kirk?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. I feel like we should give some stuff away. So, Jim Gibson, let's get it on. You own Noiseville Records. And you started Noiseville Records, and you are Noiseville Records, and you happen to have put out a little 7-inch.
John Lennon talks about David Peel.
So I met David Peel. I went out to breakfast with David Peel. I didn't get to smoke with David Peel, but I went out to breakfast.
He doesn't smoke, with.
I know. He said I always smoke at smokeouts. That was his response to me.
Yeah.
Which was cool. But Jim, tell me your story about David Peel.
Well, David Peel, meeting him is just trying to figure out his flow of thought is just impossible. He's
He's manic. He's
just a
totally manic.
torrent. He's pouring out information, and I remember the first time I went to his apartment, and it was the same apartment he had since the '60s. And we're going.
Was it East Village? In the East Village?
Yeah, right around the corner from CBGB's. We're going in these alleys and up these stairs and down these stairs and through this locker room and over there, and you got to knock 4 times on the door, and you open it and you walk in, and you put a coin in the dragon's mouth and you walk through, and it was a ludicrous trip to get to his house. Yeah. And the apartment he lived in was a boiler room. It was a boiler room, unfinished boiler room.
Jesus.
And I'm like, what a fucking shithole is this? Oh my God.
This guy talking to John Lennon? This guy hung out with John Lennon?
Terrible. So I'm sitting on his couch and he's talking to me a mile a minute. He says, oh, maybe you'd like to see something. And he hands me a picture. And it's a picture of John Lennon and Bob Dylan sitting on the same couch in the same room that I was in.
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
whoa.
Wait a minute. And he says, yeah, that's when John came to visit Bob in 1965.
Oh,
this
my
is where
God.
He says, I got this apartment from when Bob moved out. So I moved in here. But he showed me a picture of John Lennon sitting on this same ratty couch. And it looked ratty back then in 1965, too.
That's awesome.
And it was like, okay, David, I guess I'm going to pay a little better attention now.
Yeah.
Because
whoa.
You don't have pictures like that unless you got, there's something there.
Yeah, man. Wow. That's an awesome story, Jim. Awesome story. So let's give away a big Jim Gibson's t-shirt. So we have there 7. How are we giving this away? Do we decide?
The first person that posts this podcast on Facebook, on their
page, for
their friends to see, the first person that shares this, write into Big Jim's Records at our Facebook page and give your address and we'll send it to you. Or Mike will send it to you. Or someone will send it to you.
And this, Big Jim, that's him.
That's right. That was designed by Mark Arminsky, that T-shirt. Famous artist out in Detroit. He did a lot of stuff for the Stooges, like he did when they re-released Iggy and Pop's first band, the Iguanas. He did the record cover, and actually he did the poster for the Stooges reunion show in Detroit. When you look at the DVD and you open it up, there's a picture of the poster that he made for them. So that's the guy, and he always does these great borders. These great. He's just a great layout guy, and just.
So does this go to the second person that posts on their Facebook?
Sure, why not? Sure.
Number 2 gets Big Jim Gibson.
Yeah, just say what size you want.
Huh? Kirk Taylor, let's give some stuff away from you.
I'm sorry. What am I giving away?
You're giving away Frank Zappa's Chic Your Booty and Frank Zappa's Joe's Garage.
You're giving it all away.
Yeah. All right. Who wants Joe's Garage? And yeah.
So I would say my favorite song on this album is.
You're gonna have to. Whoever is.
Lucille. This is only part 1. It's only part 1. It's not the whole thing.
Yeah. No.
So
Part 1. Okay.
But part 1 is better.
It's a gatefold. It is a gatefold. You get some lyrics. You get some good frankness.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite song on this album is probably Lucille's Messed Up My Mind. That's such a good song. Or Joe's Garage, but that's sellout, right?
Mm-hmm.
So post on Kirk's
Garage.
Folks able to post things to the Dooner's Guide to Mirkwood page on Facebook, or
of course, people can post anywhere they want to post.
I suppose. Well, not on my wall, but
okay. All right. So post on Dooner's Guide to win Joe's Garage.
Yes, be the first person to post.
First one gets Joe's Garage. Second one gets your booty.
Now let's make it.
This album I love so much. He smoked Winston's. My band probably played. Let me count them. How many songs in this do we play?
Do you smoke Winston's too, Mike?
I don't smoke cigarettes, Jimmy Gibson.
Oh,
why would any responsible adult?
You said it was a little too much,
I smoke cigarettes.
Love there. Okay.
We
I
played
just got
Flakes.
checked.
We played Flakes, Broken Hearts Are for Assholes, I'm So Cute, Jones Crusher. We did 2 Bobby Brown.
Stones Crusher.
Oh,
Stones
Baby
Crusher.
Snake. Deadly Gauze, better get the jaws. It's amazing. We played Baby Snakes, Try to Grow a Chin, Dancing Fool. This is a good album.
That's
So,
a good album.
the second person to post on Dooner's Guide for Kirk will get Shake Your Booty for free.
See, it took me a while to get that one because it was a 2 LP and I couldn't afford a 2 LP new record. And
Well,
it was
Jim, how funny is it that the first album Frank ever put out, Freak Out, was like one of the first double albums ever in rock and roll history.
It was the first double record rock album ever released.
Right. So back then, he's like, fuck y'all, I'm putting out 2 of them.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right. So, everybody, I'm going to bring this episode to a close. I haven't shared something that I wanted to. My brother, John Muldoon's going in for open heart surgery tomorrow. And I want everyone to please think about him. Try to bring some positive energy to my brother. He needs it. I care for him so much. I love him so much. Please think about him from now until tomorrow. Jim, will you end the show for me? Because I can't do it.
We're gonna be.
Peace to your brother. Best of luck. It's all going to be great.
Yeah.
Remain optimistic. Stay positive. And
Love you, John.
Positive.
Thanks, guys.